Sergeant Ryan, Chris, Angie, fellow warriors, veterans, distinguished guests. What an honor it is being here today. My name's Colonel John Hussey, and I am a warrior today, and I'm honored to speak on behalf of the Ryan family about Eddie. Sergeant Ryan joined the Marine Corps shortly after 9/11. Always wanted to be a Marine, and during the initial invasion, he was assigned to the 32nd Marine Corps Battalion, and their mission was to go forward into a place called Al-Nasiriyah. And in Nasiriyah was a city of about 200,000 Iraqis, many of them loyal to Saddam Hussein. In some of the fiercest fighting for 10 days, the Marines took on the best that Saddam had to offer. Finally, with the help of the Marine Air Ground Task Force, they overcame the insurgents and went on to victory. Shortly after that, Eddie returned home to an awaiting family of Chris, Angie, and Felicia at North Carolina, Camp Lejeune. Not long thereafter, Eddie was sent on another overseas tour, this time to Djibouti, Africa. Now, most people don't realize in the Horn of Africa, we're still hunting the Al-Qaeda operatives there as well. We're focused on Iran and Iraq, or disregard Iraq and Afghanistan, but we're looking at the Horn of Africa as well, too. Now, Eddie was a machine gunner at that time, but he became very interested in wanting to become a Marine Corps sniper. Now, while most Marines, when they finished their duty, would come back, do their physical conditioning and answer letters home, Eddie was a little more than that. He started to take on, under the auspices of a Sergeant Taylor White, what it took to be a Marine Corps sniper. So Eddie would go out running the mountains, practice his martial arts, his kickboxing, so this way when he returned home, he'd be ready for the sniper indoctrination. And Sergeant White let the people back home know they have a dedicated Marine coming back, and he's going to join their ranks of the elite sniper corps. When Eddie came back, he joined up with 13 other Marines and went into class to become a Marine sniper. Not only did he excel, he became #1 in that class and graduated #1, and then went on to what's known as SEER training. Survival, escape, resistance, and evade. And in that class, he did very well, too. Then he deployed on his second combat tour overseas to Iraq, and on April 13th, which is, we'll celebrate that poor memory, if you will, next Wednesday, he was shot and wounded. And as Colonel Atkinson pointed out, Marines put their lives on the line, and they went out and they rescued Eddie. And Eddie returned home. First, he made a pit stop, though, in Landstuhl, Germany, where the parents went over to meet him. Now, I've grown to know the Ryans over several years, and when you sit with some of the families of our great warriors and what they've been through, it was a difficult time because they were just basically going over to Germany to say goodbye, and they understood that. The doctors gave Eddie no chance. Well, here Eddie is with us today with loved ones and family, and Eddie's proven them wrong.
Hoorah!
But it's important to note, it wasn't just Eddie. It was a loving family. It was people out here, people like Barry Fixler, a Marine from Vietnam that dedicated a lot of time and money. People like Mike Ali, as Colonel Atkinson pointed out, that left a lot on the battlefields of Vietnam many years ago, but never came back and badmouthed his country, nor did he badmouth the Corps. And he's gone on to do great things. As a matter of fact, a lot of people don't know, I used to work in a gas station in the Bronx with Mike, and he's probably the reason I joined the Corps. So Mike, 30 years later, whatever the case might be, people like you inspire the youth of today and give us, great expectation of what we can do for our nation. Now, many people may ask why this day is so important for Eddie. I mean, people do their civilian jobs, they retire after 20 or 30 years. Well, I would simply say they don't know what it means to be a Marine, and more important, they don't know what it means to be a combat Marine. So that's why this day is more important. Now, there was an old bulletin board in Vietnam, and this is where I came across the first saying, reading about the history of Vietnam, and it read, "For all those who have fought for it, freedom has a meaning the protected will never know." And I want you to think about that, because I've had the opportunity to be a battalion commander downrange, and then when I came home, I had another battalion. And what do you say to young men and women that are raising their right hand, because only 1% of the American population is serving in uniform today? What do you say to them? And I use words similar to that. When you come home from combat after serving this nation under this great flag that we wave and stand before, the grass will always be greener, the ice will always be colder, And when you hear that Star Spangled Banner at Yankee Stadium, it just sets goosebumps for you. And again, let me read, for those of you who have fought for it, freedom has a meaning the protected will never know. Now, Eddie joined the Marines simply out of patriotism, and I got that. And Eddie, I know that at least two Marines from the stories I've heard, have put their life on the line so you would be here today. Well, I got news for you, Marine. You're not retired, okay? I have a new mission for you. Those Marines did not put their life on the line so you can sit and hunt with your father in Ellenville. We all hear what's called the strategic corporal. And the strategic corporal is a corporal that people like me and Colonel Atkinson fear, that might go out and do some bad damage. And with CNN all over the place, we're concerned. Well, today we have the strategic sergeant. And you've done wonderful things because everybody gave up on you. So you're going to teach the youth of America, first of all, we don't give up. Marines don't give up. That's the first thing.
All right. Yeah.
And at a time right now, especially in this country where we have Snooki and everybody else, we don't have any American heroes. Eddie, you're a hero that has to go out there, be that sergeant, and show the youth what it means to fight, care, have values, support, and a loving family because we've lost. And that's what you do. Now, Eddie, there's an old saying out there that it takes a village to raise a son. But after looking at you, I'd say it takes a community to care for its veterans. Because you didn't do this alone and your family didn't. We have a lot of veterans, Bill Lamelli, I can go on, and I don't want to do that because I don't want to miss anybody, but people have stepped forward. You have to, as part of your role in your new mission, Eddie, there's a lot of veterans out there that aren't getting the care and the love that have been shown to you by your family, by the Marines here, and by fellow warriors. We've got to make sure that we never leave a fellow veteran without the care and the love that they deserve. So we need you to go out to those political leaders and civilians out there and be the voice, Eddie, that they don't have. And that's your new mission, assigned to you by Colonel John Hussey today. Okay? You're not going into retirement. We have simply a new mission for you. Now, the family asked me to read one letter, and I'll try to be brief, but it's important. It's from First Sergeant Dan Brazil, USMC, and he was the first sergeant of the 3rd of the 2nd Marines. I'd like to submit a hearty thank you to the officers, Marines, and corpsmen who served at Camp Gannon, Hyderabad, Iraq, with India 3-2. On April 11, 2005, these men faced one of the largest, if not the largest, coordinated ground assault to date by multiple SVBIEDs. Now, everybody in the military knows about acronyms, so I'll kind of spell that out for you. Those are suicide vehicle-borne improvised explosive devices. In other words, people wrap themselves in bombs and drive their cars into you. Rockets, automatic weapons, and insurgents using multiple axes of attack and stop the enemy in its tracks. That's what our Marines did. The explosions were viewed from miles away. As the India First Sergeant, I had the pleasure and honor to fight alongside and serve with the best Marines and corpsmen of my 23-year career. On that day, and the following 4 days, the Marines and corpsmen fought insurgents in a standstill and maintained their place in our corps by doing so. With Marines like Captain Frank Diarro, Gunnery Sergeant Brian Hunnekamp, Gunnery Sergeant John Harriman, Sergeant Ray Mitros, Hospital Corpsman First Class Jesse Padilla, Sergeant Eddie Ryan, Lance Corporal Butler, and a host of many other brave warriors, the enemy was repelled and with no loss of lives within our unit. We were lucky. I would submit God was looking out for our Marines on that day. Huh? India Company fought in more than 279 engagements during that 7-month tour, and I credit that to the leadership from the fire team level. Good old Marine Corps small unit leadership. I would like the men of India Company to know that I have contacted the Marine Corps Association and asked them to mark April 11, 2005 on their 2010 calendar, the date of victory over the enemy at Camp Gannon, Iraq. India 3-2, you are special to this Marine. First Sergeant Don Brazil, USMC, retired. He submitted this letter to the Leatherneck magazine and asked us to read it today. In closing, I'd just like to say, Marines have a gallant history. They are respected and in some instances feared throughout the globe. They have fought in every major engagement that the United States has taken part in. And to quote President Reagan, some people spend an entire lifetime wondering if they made a difference. Marines don't have to worry about that. On behalf of Eddie Ryan and the Ryan family, I'd like to thank Lieutenant Colonel Hugh Atkinson and the Marines of Marine Air Group 49 for never leaving a fallen Marine and his family behind, and for demonstrating to the Hudson Valley what it means to be a Marine. Thanks for a great ceremony. Semper Fi.
Hoorah.
I'd like to present you with the main point, which in today's military is very significant when we pass on to a warrior for great actions that they have accomplished.